All right, I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're just maybe giving it a minute or two to allow other people or viewers to join us before we officially get started. In the meantime, feel free to say hello or maybe tell us where you're watching from, or maybe you can start telling us what you want to hear from today's session. We encourage everyone to participate and would love to connect with you. Mhm. Anybody here now? The Okay, we have few viewers at the moment.
I'm not going to worry about that because it's not going to be so quick.
Okay, looks like on Instagram we do have a lot, but I think we can start. Hello, Uma Patel. We are actually on many different platforms, but anyway, to all those viewers, hello again to this very special live session. We, Verita Neuro, are very delighted to have you here with us for an engaging, inspiring, and educational discussion. In today's session, we have the privilege to hearing from Makayla. Hi, Makayla.
Hi.
She's one of our remarkable patients who came to Thailand for the treatment. And together, joining us is her mom, Teranne. Hello, Teranne. Thank you for
Hello.
joining us. Both of them, they will share Makayla's personal journey with epidural stimulation, offering valuable insight into her goals and progress. We're also honored, of course, to have Dr. Nasir Majid. Hello, Doctor.
Hi.
Dr. Nasir is Verita Neuro's medical director, with, of course, over a decade of expertise, experience in neuromodulation and neurorehabilitation. He oversees our global medical and rehabilitation team. And my name is Vea. I'm one of the first few contacts guiding through the medical evaluation and assisting patients with the practical arrangements before they coming. I'll be the moderator for today. And today, everybody, all of us will explore the potential of epidural stimulation and, of course, answer all your questions. Let's get started. Um, Makayla, thank you again for joining. Could you please start by introducing yourself and perhaps share a bit about your condition?
Yeah. So my name is Makayla Condor. I'm 16 years old from the United States.
Mhm.
Almost 3 years ago, I was in an accident that left me a C3 complete quadriplegic. I was at a kickoff to summer pool party with my church youth group, and I was on a tire swing with my sister and two friends when the branch
Mm.
broke and it landed on my head and it broke my neck. It broke my C4, C5, and C6 vertebrae. It cracked my skull, broke my clavicle, and broke my elbow. I was in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital for about 7 months.
Mm. So I think looks like you are quick to react and did some interventions. Um, with regards to the treatment, of course, could you tell us how did you find out about epidural stimulation treatment at Verita Neuro?
Yeah, so we were trying to find a way for me to get exercises and rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
And we contacted a lot of facilities here in the United States, but because of my age and because of my condition, none of them would take me. And so we were looking at other options, and my mom found Verita Neuro, and we started meeting with the doctors and um, finding out more about it, and that was it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, Talking about treatment, have you tried any other treatments before coming to Verita Neuro? And what are the factors that you considered in choosing Verita Neuro for the epidural stimulation?
I have received a little bit of PT from the hospital, and we have a sports therapist that will come to our house and do a couple hours every day before Verita Neuro. Uh, yeah.
Mm,
We definitely we did a lot of research and we were trying to find alternative solutions. So with the limitations that we found in physical therapy and occupational therapy, we were at a point where we were desperate to find something else. And so I went to the internet and started looking, found Verita Neuro, did some of these questions and answers as someone watching, and started reached out, started talking to Via, started talking to Dr. Nasir, and talked to other patients who had been there, and it evolved into really an incredible experience and a great journey for us. So it took us about a year, almost a year, from the time we first contacted you guys until we could actually get there in person. It was just a little short of a year, but an incredible journey.
Right. Yeah. Of course, it's very important to have all the information you need before, deciding what you are very most comfortable in doing. Right. I've been speaking about epidural stimulation, but Makayla, could you tell the viewers what treatments you specifically receive at Verita Neuro?
I received 2 epidural stimulators and stem
Mhm.
cell treatments and physical therapy.
All right, Dr. Nasir, would you like to explore or explain a bit more how this epidural stimulation worked and how this works for quadriplegic patients?
Yes, thank you. So, like, sorry, excuse me. Like many other patients in the past, Makayla also had a traumatic spinal cord injury to the cervical spinal cord, which of course
Mhm.
results in loss of upper body and lower body functions, very unfortunately. So she received 2 stimulators. One was for the basically it's called cervical plexus. So there is a network of nerves in the spinal cord, which branch out from lower cervical spinal cord, and all the nerves, they go to supply the muscles in the upper body. So this was our first target, using one stimulator at the cervical level to try to optimize the functions in her upper body. Then at the same time, she received a second stimulator for the lumbar spinal cord, which is primarily responsible for leg function. So she received 2 stimulators. The epidural stimulation is basically it's a neurostimulator, and it is used to provide more controllable, precise electrical stimulations to different structures in the spinal cord. Try to cause the excitation of the spinal cord, which is not being excited from the signals coming from the brain, because most of the signals are not able to cross the injured spinal cord. So the epidural stimulation provides stimulation below the level of injury to cause the excitation of the spinal cord. Once the spinal cord is excited, the muscles are able to be stimulated, and then slowly over time, patients regain control over those muscles, and it becomes volitional, controllable movement. So this is the idea behind the spinal cord stimulation.
Dr. Nasir, I want to take this opportunity because one person from the viewers actually asked how about the age. So as Makayla mentioned, she's very young. And can you tell us what are the challenges and how did we solve these challenges with proposing this with the treatment? One person told that they heard that you got to be under 18 to get the epidural stimulation.
No, this is not correct. You don't have to be under 18. So basically, the treatment cannot be performed only in very young patients. Normally, roughly at the age of 10 to 11 years, the spinal cord is still growing. So there is growth of the spinal cord and the spine. So the stimulation cannot be performed in patients, generally speaking, less than like 11 or 12 years of age, because once the growth of the spinal cord and the spine is completed, then the stimulation can be implanted. But there is no limitation as to how old the patient has to be. I think most of the patients we treated, they were more than 18 years old. So it's not a limitation, actually. The treatment does not have to be before the age of 18 for sure.
Thank you, doctor. This just, say that medical evaluation is very important. So we would really need to understand more about each patient's case, right? Makayla, since your injury happened, I think mid 2022, correct?
Yeah.
And it's almost 2.5 years before receiving the treatment with us. What were your expectations prior to arriving Verita Neuro?
We did a lot of research, so I had kind of high expectations. I was
Mm,
hoping to, get a lot more movement back, be able to control my chair with my hand, and feed myself. And when I got there, I realized that those are kind of more long-term goals, but we found the right muscles to do it. And if I keep working on it and keep trying, that I'll be able to reach those goals long-term and eventually get there. So.
mhm. But one question already it's been asked from Brucey Bruce. Give. I would like to ask: did the procedure give you everything you were hoping for, in line with your, of course, expectation?
Yeah, I feel like it gave me a little bit more. I guess I wasn't expecting to be able to learn the different muscles that I was using. I
Mm,
found out that I was using all the wrong muscles. And so while I was there,
mm,
the therapist taught me which muscles to use. And I can definitely tell a difference when the stimulators are on. It triggers the muscle and I can feel it and it wakes it up. So I was really happy about that.
mm, mm. Right. So, so you arrived, as people know, you came to Thailand for treatment after the preparation, after the arrival, and then you had the surgery, right? Can you tell us how soon did you see changes? How soon did you start to see changes? Yeah.
Yeah, we turned on the stimulators about 2 days after surgery, and I saw changes right away of my muscles waking up and moving. And I was able to connect to them to help move my limbs more than I have in the past.
I think
Mm-hmm.
something to the expectation of what we thought we could achieve versus what she achieved. We weren't sure what she could get back. I mean, all of that was just kind of contingent on what her body was going to do and how it would respond. But when they turned the stimulators on, they started finding muscles and connections right away. But her muscles were so weak after 2.5 years of not moving that she would fatigue after just 1 or 2 reps. And then as she used those stimulators more, that improved. And so by the time we left, she was up to 15 reps or so before her muscles would fatigue. So I mean, there still is a journey
Mm,
to continue, and she has a long way to go to achieve the goals that she wanted, but at the same time she did connect to the muscles that are going to get her there. So as she continues her exercises and she is going to continue to build those muscles and achieve
mm,
what those goals are. But that started right away. As soon as the
mm-hmm,
stimulators were turned on, she started
mm-hmm.
making connections. So
Yeah.
Connections.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I think we were also surprised actually how well her body was responding because um, before she came for the treatment, of course, uh, she had to deal with other issues, but so she
Mhm.
was not able to perform extensive exercise. But I think she coped very well. She was able to adopt very fast. She was able to learn how her body is reacting to the stimulation, and so we got a very good feedback from our team who were working with Makayla that she was able to adopt very fast. So I think that definitely helped. And also, of course, for others who are watching, Makayla just concluded her treatment. Actually, I think less than one month ago. So it's really still a very early stage. Uh, what we tried to achieve during the treatment was to perform the surgery, to make sure she recovers from the surgery, and also to do basic programming where we use the stimulation to stimulate different muscle groups. So this is, of course,
Mm-hmm.
what was achieved so far. Now she will enter into a long-term rehab plan in the States, and the gradual recovery will follow with training. So, of course, we have a long way to go, but we had a very good start.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would just like to also touch back a little on one of the questions you brought up about her age and her condition for the stimulation. I mentioned it was almost a year for us by the time we first met you until we actually showed up in person. But in that time, I mean, there were steps we were taking to make sure that Makayla was ready for this, and in coordination with Dr. Nasir and Via and the medical team in Thailand. We were working with doctors here in the States as well to make sure that, you know, pressure sores were healed and her pulmonary was under control and she was healthy and her blood pressure was under control. She met with an orthopedic surgeon to make sure her bone health was good for the surgery, and they signed off on the fact that her bones were fully grown and she was considered adult status. So even though she's 16, we did a lot of preparation work with the Thailand team and with the medical doctors here to make sure she was ready. So by the time we got there, we just hit the ground running. All of that was already accounted for. And so by the time we got there, we had a really good understanding of what we were going to get and knew exactly what was going to happen. Like, our expectations met our experience because we had been really prepared by the time we got there.
Right. I remember how extensive the preparation are, but it's very good that you details, you know, because definitely it will set all the right expectations, right?
Yeah.
Going back to the component of the treatment, for the viewers, Makayla received 2 stimulators, and it's going to be a longer duration, which is, so Makayla stayed with us for 50 days. So I always tell this to patients. So it's not just the surgery that we do. We do a lot of rehabilitation. We do especially the mapping. So let's talk about mapping. Makayla, can you tell us in your words what is mapping for you, and how did you find the experience? Was it useful? Was it quick?
Yeah, so mapping is where they try and connect the stimulators to the muscles, and they have to try different programs and test different things because not everyone is the same. So they had to try a bunch of different programs to see which worked best to find the best movement from me. And I feel like it worked really well. We found good muscle responses, and it worked fast too. So.
Right. And Dr. Nasir, on medical perspective, how would you explain the mapping process, and how it will help spinal cord injury patients to regain their mobility?
Yeah. So I think, just as an example, when we look at the lumbar spinal cord, which is primarily responsible for lower body functions, there are about 6 or 7 spinal cord segments. So starting from, roughly speaking, actually T12, but mostly starting from L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, we have S1 and S2, some component of S3. So these are like 7 or 8 spinal segments which are quite compressed together. Each spinal segment is responsible for a specific spinal nerve, which would go to a specific muscle or a group of muscles. So what we use, so after the electrodes are implanted into the epidural space over the lumbar spinal cord, we use different electrodes to try to precisely stimulate different segments in the spinal cord to get more precise muscle contractions in those corresponding muscle groups. So during the mapping process, basically we discover how patients' natural like motor pathways are functional, because many patients, they have some spared muscle fibers which are still able to pass through the interspinal cord. So we try to coordinate the stimulation with those pathways to allow patients to use the remaining pathways to produce the muscles. So the mapping process is basically all about discovering what is missing from the brain and what needs to be provided from the stimulator to optimize the movements.
Yes, I think many people sometimes, when they do the inquiry, they just know about epidural stimulation, but mapping is a very important component of the treatment. Um, I mentioned that Makayla, you stayed with us for 50 days. Can you tell us what does a typical day at the hospital look like for you?
Yeah, so I had 2 hours of upper mapping in the morning,
Mhm.
starting at 9 a.m., and then I had a break for lunch, and then hospital therapy in the afternoon for an hour, and then 2 more hours of lower mapping in the afternoon or the evening.
Mhm. Right. So for, every day you will have different set of exercises. And, I think it's around 25 sessions per week. We're talking about exercise that you worked with assigned therapist and you have been doing a lot. Can you tell us if there is any favorite exercises during your stay with us and something that also you continue when you went back home?
Yeah, my favorite was the walking. I feel like that
Ah.
was the most beneficial and it worked the most muscles and I could see what I was doing and it felt good to use the walking machine. We
Mhm,
haven't been able to continue that yet, but we're working on it, getting the equipment
mhm,
here. Um,
mhm.
yeah, that was definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
That is good. That is good. Um,
I think too the Verita Neuro therapists are very creative. I think that there was something extremely positive about the fact that every day Makayla would wake up and it was something new. So
mhm,
would we would be doing mapping on the same muscles, but at the same time, each therapist kind of took a different perspective, or every day was a new way to work that muscle. So whether it was, trying to eat something, or it was painting, or it was squeezing, it was the same movements, but every day was something new. So I think Makayla really appreciated how creative the team was in the mapping and exercising process. I think something too is mapping is going on for several weeks, but you're
mm,
still getting the therapy at the same time, because as you're mapping, you're working the muscles. And so I think it's a building block that the mapping and the exercising are happening right from that very beginning. So progress is being made right from the start.
Yeah, it didn't get
mm.
so something to look forward to every day, something new. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was about to say that. And yes, I think also the team likes to surprise you every day,
Yeah.
doing things like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
They really make it fun, and
they are.
and that's the and you can speak to that if you want to,
Yeah,
but
my
yeah.
favorite part was definitely the therapists and just how encouraging they are and how fun they are and how they work hard and play harder. I
Mhm.
just love being there with them. They made it really amazing.
Mm. Just for the viewers to know, I think Makayla has different therapies for the upper and lower functions, right? And mapping has to be done with different team as well. Since we're talking about the components of the treatment, so you had mapping, epidural, the surgery. Let's go to stem cell treatment. Makayla received stem cell treatment as well. How was the stem cell treatment, and did you notice any changes after receiving stem cells?
Yeah, the stem cell treatment went good. I did notice some changes. One with my body temperature. I haven't really
Mm,
been able to regulate it since my accident, and I was really cold all the time. But after stem cells, that regulated out a little bit, and I had more normal temperature, and I was like warmer, I guess.
She
So that
hasn't
was,
she hasn't had that deep bone chill freezing experience since the stem cells. So that definitely helped. We did notice that her body was just trying to adjust to different things. But it's almost like it kind of spikes and then it kind of, peters out as you get further away. But um, in terms of like her spasms are stronger, her body is more responsive. It seems like it kind of woke things up a little bit more. Her legs will do a lot more jittering, and it just seems like things move more than they were before.
yeah.
mhm. Dr. Nestor, would you like to explain a bit more? Why do we include stem cell treatment in our protocol? How is it helpful? And yeah, how soon can we expect changes, stuff like this?
Sure. Before this, I think I would like to add also about
Mhm.
the autonomic functions. I think, of course, Makayla, she knows, but many people, they don't realize how important those secondary benefits are from the treatment, because I think being unable to regulate body temperature is, of course, is a bit concerning. Can lead to many complications ultimately. And from the stimulation point of view, primarily the target is what are called somatic muscle function. So we have skeletal muscles which we target using the spinal cord stimulation. But of course, for other areas, primarily for sensory functions, we also do stem cell treatment in an attempt to regrow some sensory pathways, which can improve sensations in the body. I think for Makayla's body temperature regulation, I definitely think the spinal cord stimulation itself also played a small part, if not significant part. So I think it normally comes from both stem cell treatment and also the stimulation, because the epidural stimulation also modulates what is called sympathetic activation. So it improves, particularly the lower body stimulator. It's actually very close to where the sympathetic nervous system is for body temperature and blood pressure regulation, because these two are interconnected. So I think with the lumbar stimulation over a few weeks, I think personally might have contributed to a body temperature regulation. So I think both stem cell treatment and the stimulation may play a role in improving autonomic functions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Makayla, Teranne, and Dr. Nasir, before we move forward, I would like to touch on the questions. They keep coming in. Let me just go over
I think
them.
we
Huh?
have one question from Jason I'm looking at. I think I can
Yeah.
answer this question. So
Mhm.
Jason is basically asking that Makayla is C3 spinal cord injury, but we mentioned that the stimulation has to be performed for patients with C4 and lower. Well, I think this is this is like it's oversimplified. So basically, some patients with upper cervical injuries, C2, C1, they also have what is called brainstem, because it's basically the border between the brainstem and the cervical spinal cord. So many patients, they also have brainstem injuries. So they may have like cognitive impairment, like loss of upper or higher mental functions, loss of speech and swallowing functions. So for some patients with like very high cervical injuries or brainstem injuries, the epidural stimulation may not be this specific application may not be an option, but of course we do have other treatment for those patients where we implant the stimulator at a slightly upper level. This is called, so Makayla received lower cervical stimulation. For some patients, we may be able to do what is called higher cervical stimulation to try to get closer to the brainstem and optimize those functions. So while the particular stem cell treatment Makayla received was, yes, for normally C3, C4 patients, but for other patients, there are other treatments also.
Mm-hmm. Jason actually is also curious, Makayla, why did you choose Thailand for the treatment? And what are the and Dr. Nasir, what are the differences of going to Thailand or Mexico? Difference of the clinic.
Do you want me to answer?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure for Makayla. Normally, we are able to take patients on both locations. The
Mhm.
treatments are very like they're exactly the same. The stimulator is the same. Most of the stem cell treatments are also the same. The treatment duration, everything is same. For Makayla, I think she was a little bit more, I would say, a little bit more complex because the injury was at an upper level. She also had a tracheostomy. She also had some more respiratory complications in the past. So from medical point of view, um, we were a little bit more prepared to
Mm.
take her in Thailand. But for majority of the patients, it should not be the case. They should be able to travel to either of these two treatment locations. Only few selected patients are um, uh, asked to go to a specific location.
Mm-hmm. Right. Doctor, there is also another question from Kelly and Kelly. Her injury is almost 21-year-old, T6 complete. Uh, is her injury too old for this treatment?
Well, it's definitely older than, let's say, some other patients we treated, but we have performed epidural stimulation in patients. I think the one patient we treated had 32 years old injury. So the treatment had been
Mm.
performed in many patients with over 20 years old injury. So while the outcomes are slower as compared to someone with fresh injury, it's not like contraindication to perform the treatment basically. So it takes a little bit longer for them to recover those functions, but the treatment definitely is an option for those patients.
Mm-hmm. Um, there's a lot of people asking about, complete and incomplete injury. Makayla has C3 complete injury. Yeah, and we are able to treat C3 complete. Can you tell us, doctor, what is the difference, and why do we treat both type of injuries?
Yeah, so I think from patient point of view, sometimes it's confusing because different doctors in different countries, they use different terms when they define what's a complete injury, what's an incomplete injury. I think a general rule is the doctor, they look at the functional, the level of functionality after the injury, right? So if there is no function, complete loss of motor and sensory functions below the level of lesion, this is called a complete injury. This does not necessarily mean the spinal cord is completely transected. In most of the patients, the spinal cord is still spared. So they
Mm-hmm.
have what is called, from anatomical point of view, they have an incomplete transaction of the spinal cord, but they have complete functional injury. So there is a distinction between uh, anatomical complete injury and functional complete injury. So most of the patients we had, they had functional complete injury, means whatever part of the spinal cord was spared, it was not simply functional anymore. So
Mm.
Makayla initially had a complete C3 injury, which means below C3 she did not have any functions, but I believe she recovered some of the functions below the level of injury. A little bit of, it's very minor movements, but she went on to she moved from C3 complete to C3 incomplete simply because she had regained some functions in her upper body. But from lower limb point of view, she had complete loss of functions, complete loss of motor function in her lower body.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, doctor, and thank you to those who keeps asking questions. We will try our best to answer everybody. Let's go back to the conversation, Makayla and Teranne. Epidural stimulation. What has been your biggest achievement with the epidural stimulation treatment so far?
Yeah.
I would say basically connecting to her muscles. So because the stimulators on connect her to different parts of her body, she can then work those muscles. I would say that's by far her biggest accomplishment at this point. Like Dr. Nasir said, we're actually pretty recent post surgery. We've been home only a couple of weeks, so there's still a long road. As a C3, she has a lot of work to do, but we're happy with the muscles that they were able to find, and as she works those, she's going to get stronger. So that I think is one of the biggest achievements that we were hoping for, was that she can work the muscles and progress, rather than before we were doing FES stimulation on the outside and trying to stimulate her muscles to do something from the outside. It was very slow and it didn't have nearly the strength of response as now, where the stimulators turned on, she works those muscles and her progress is exponentially greater now.
Mm.
But we've got a long road ahead of us, and we're not giving up now. So there's a lot to still be achieved. We're just not there yet.
Well, she's very
Right.
young, so I think she definitely she will spend few years training her muscles, and she can still enjoy a very good quality of life for most part of her life.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's our
Right.
greatest achievement right there.
In one of Makayla's posts, I really like that you mentioned that you are focusing a lot on, relearning these movements. And I know you, and of course, I'm confident that you are motivated to move further. With regards to the treatment location, for example, what aspects of your experience with us have been particularly helpful or maybe unique compared to the treatment that you had in your country in the US?
Yeah, so because of my age and my condition, I didn't really get as much treatment as I think I could have, um,
Mm-hmm.
given if I was in different circumstances. So treatment in Thailand was really great. It was provided an opportunity that I couldn't find anywhere else.
Yeah, because we didn't know at the time, but because she discharged from the hospital, she couldn't transfer to an SCI center in the States. And then the other restriction was her age. She's under 18, and we have a lot. We hear that answer a lot. Well, she's under 18. We can't help you. We can't take her. So Verita Neuro already was just a different platform entirely, that they were willing to work with us, willing to take us, willing to work with her injury, willing to help her progress, willing to do therapies. And I would say that alone was a huge benefit that's different than what we found in the States. A second experience, though, I say is the number of therapists that are there, their desire to help SCIs progress. Everything that we did with them was 100% believing that Makayla is going to make progress. And that came out in everything they did, cheering her on, encouraging her. She had just so much support constantly. And then, that just builds, and that mental strength, it transfers to physical strength. And it was just top notch, above what we can find here.
It was very motivating. It made me want to get up every day and exercise more and harder than the day before. So.
Right. I'm very happy to hear that you've enjoyed your stay. And while you have built a community and a family here in Thailand, I believe as well, and I saw from your stories that you have very good community support over there that will help you as well stay motivated.
Yeah.
With regards, doctor, to the availability of the treatment, and because some people are also asking, will this ever be available in the United States? Can you tell us a bit more about it? Yes, or maybe no?
Well, I think yes, so there is a lot of research going on. There are many different clinical trials. We are very happy to see, I think, at least 25 different medical centers. They're exploring those treatments in the US, Canada, Australia, and some parts of Europe now. So yeah, I think we are moving in the right direction. So of course there is a hope that in next, I would say maybe 5-6 years, maybe I don't know, 10 years, because it could always be slower. There could be some form of neuromodulatory treatments available in the Western countries.
Thank you, doctor. Another in line with this topic, Virgo Sneaks asks, does this have to be performed outside the United States? Yes, we do have two locations. We do have in Thailand and in Mexico, like we mentioned. it will mainly, of course, depend on your preferences where patient would like to travel for treatment. Definitely for many patients from America, it's easier to travel to Mexico, but everybody, of course, is also welcome to travel to Thailand for the treatment. Moving forward, Makayla, tell us what are your long-term goals for this treatment?
My long-term goals, I want to be able to feed myself and do my own transfers and
Mm,
drive my wheelchair with a joystick in my hand instead of a head array, and eventually be able to take steps on my own.
mm. Uh, this is, if you agree with me, Dr. Nasir, is a realistic goal, and something that we hopefully could expect from the treatment after, of course, we some time of training and rehabilitation. From medical perspective, Dr. Nasir, what is the potential outcome that Makayla can achieve in the future?
Yeah, I
Or
think
with the
the goals you
Mhm,
mentioned, those are, in our opinion, those are of course ambitious goals. It takes time, but those are realistic goals. Really, even for ourselves, we set those goals initially. We communicated with Makayla and we spoke extensively about the goals. So we agree. I think those are. It has to be really um, those goals for it to make sense. So it has to be functional changes in patient's body where they become more functional. So the goals to being able to feed herself, transfer, use her hands, those are realistic goals from upper limbs. And also, once she regains some grip and more like trunk stability, chest stability, and also have more functional recovery in her lower limbs, then I think being able to walk with support is not really out of question. It's, of course, is ultimate goal for us, but it's still achievable. So we really set those goals also for Makayla to hopefully achieve one day.
mhm. Right.
I think we have a
Thank
question
you.
from Jason. Sorry, it's a
Yes.
medical question. Um, so Jason is asking if the treatment could be performed in patients with diaphragmatic stimulator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we do have some patients. Actually, I think probably quite a few patients actually who had either phrenic nerve stimulator or diaphragm stimulator, or some patients with baclofen pump, morphine pump. They have some patients have cardiac pacemaker. So there are different kind of stimulators. The treatment can be performed in all those patients, basically. Of course, we have a protocol to follow where we have to keep safe distance between an underlying stimulator or cardiac pacemaker or diaphragm stimulator, for example, and the epidural stimulator. So, but we
Mm,
know, and we have done uh, such kind of treatments in the past. So the treatment can be performed in patients with an underlying stimulator or cardiac pacemaker or baclofen pump or morphine pump.
mm-hmm. Doctor, I think this is also something for you. From many people are actually asking from this one specifically is from Mino Bok 3. Can it work with a gunshot wound or injuries caused by gunshots?
Yeah, so gunshot wounds are a little bit more complicated to treat. If there is a because from the for gunshot wounds, some patients they have what is called a complete anatomical transaction of the spinal cord. If there is a penetration of the bullet literally inside the spinal cord, it can cut the spinal cord into half and it can burn two ends. So there is maybe a little bit gap between two ends of the spinal cord. So this is really a very rare cases this can happen where there is a complete disruption of the spinal cord tissue. Unfortunately, in those patients, it cannot be performed. But I have seen in many patients, the spinal cord tissue is still intact, right? So as long as there is a little bit of connectivity through the spinal cord, the treatment can be performed.
Hmm. Okay. Going back to Makayla, one of your therapies, Art, is in the comment sections on Instagram saying hi to you.
Hi, Art.
Yes. Okay. Um, let's go back to the conversation. There is another question for you, Makayla. I think you have mentioned in few insights in the previous conversation about how, but maybe you can tell a bit more if there is any. How do you feel about epidural stimulation so far, and which areas do you find the treatment helpful for you? Is it already helpful for your daily activities? You can tell a bit more about it.
Yeah, so I can't quite do daily activities yet, but I'm able to do more exercises than I was before. So I'm
Mm.
able to use like a bike for my arms and like an arm skateboard, which I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
able to do before. So it's definitely helped me get more exercises and be able to work more on that to eventually one day get to be doing more
Mm-hmm.
activities for myself throughout my day.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is good to know. In line with your long-term goal, I think preparation before the treatment and after the treatment also is important. Teranne and Makayla, one person is asking Kelly, where where are you going to do the rehab in the US, or how do you plan to do it back home?
Again, we have a lot of struggle trying to find places that will take Makayla because of her age. So
Okay.
the hospitals around us have told us they won't take her because she's under 18, and the Children's Hospital isn't providing more than just a couple hours a week. So we have a friend that comes to our home and helps us exercise her every day. So we've been working to get equipment in our home, and we just basically copied the exercises that the therapist did with us in Thailand. We just do here on our own. If anybody knows of a PT/OT rehab facility in Cincinnati, Ohio, or somewhere near that can help us, we are all ears, because we have had a real struggle trying to find a facility that will take her. So yeah,
Mm. Right. This could be a challenge.
yeah.
Sorry, carry
Um,
on.
I'm just trying to follow the questions here. That so far, insurance will pay for some of the equipment depending on what it is. The equipment that we're looking for from Thailand, no, they're not. But we have an incredible community that has supported us and helped us, and
Mm-hmm.
raised funds for us to get to Thailand and to help us just get the things that we've needed. And so um, we have insurance isn't covering it, but we've had incredible generosity to help us get what we need. So a shout out to our community and our
Yes.
friends and family who have made this trip, all of it, possible for us. Yeah.
Mhm. Right. Um, the community that you have, of course, play a big role, of course, in this journey in Michaela's recovery. So, in addition to the treatment, a supportive community, a supportive family, Terran and Thomas, all the friends and family, I think they are also uh, good to have a shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for this. There are many questions still. We're leaning towards the end of the our list of the conversation topic points from JV Yeg. Dr. Nasir, is there a minimum amount of time Verita suggests for mapping after the surgery?
Yeah, sure. I think for one stimulator, we are looking between 90 hours to like 100 hours of mapping. So we do around 20 hours per week. So the treatment is roughly 5 weeks for one stimulator. For two stimulators, it's around 160 to 180 hours of mapping. So there is definitely a minimum number of mapping hours we need to spend with the patient to find suitable programs. So that's why the treatment takes place either in 35 days or 50 days, depending upon whether we do one stimulator or two stimulators.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Since you asked Darren, there are people telling, have you looked into Shepherd about the center you would like to go, or you would like to consider? There are some people saying Shepherd Center in Atlanta, and some are Kennedy Krieger or this kind of hospitals.
Yeah.
But I think, it would be good to have this. community that will help you move forward. Maybe I can send you this information privately after the call.
Yeah.
But of
So
course,
we've
if
looked
you
into
want, no.
those. Yeah, we looked into those, and they both said that they won't take her because she was already discharged from the hospital. So if
Mm.
anybody is recent spinal cord injury, the best thing you can do if you want to get into the spinal cord injury center in the States is to transfer hospital to hospital. If you
Mm.
are discharged, then they have a totally different set of criteria. But if you are inpatient and you haven't been discharged yet, they will do a hospital to hospital transfer and you can
Mhm.
get into those centers. But Kennedy Krieger said they would only give us like 1 or 2 weeks outpatient and send us home with a therapy plan. Shepherd said that they wouldn't take her at all. Um,
Mm.
we never heard back from Colorado. We never heard back from Chicago. There's a pediatric Fraser in Kentucky, but they won't take her now with the spinal cord stimulators. So that,
So
yeah,
sounds like it's quite challenging stage you are in, but hopefully in the future there will be some centers that Makayla could do the treatment
that, and
because
as she gets older, she has more. There's more options.
yes.
So yeah,
Mhm.
once she hits 18, we've got facilities more local that are more willing to work with her. So it's time at this point. We're taking on the responsibility on ourselves to keep her progressing as we can with everything that Verita Neuro has set us up with, and then in a couple of years she qualifies for something more
Oh,
intensive near us. So
all right. Thank you for those insights. Makayla, we are leaning towards the end of the conversation. Do you have a message for people um, who are waiting to learn about your recovery?
Yeah, I'm making great progress with the stimulators, and I plan on keep working hard and eventually reach my goals. And I'm excited for the recovery I'll make.
yeah.
And yes, you clearly make a remarkable progress. What advice would you give to someone who experienced an injury?
I would say don't give up. It's definitely hard, and recovery is a long journey, and days are slow, but you'll get there and you'll make progress if you just keep working at it and don't give up. And Verita Neuro is amazing. So if you can get there, then I would suggest getting their treatment.
Mm, right. Terran, do you have any additional advice you would like, to share with people?
Yeah, I would just kind of echo that. It's a long road. The body healing and recovering is a slow process, but it's improving, it's progressing, it's healing. And as Makayla makes more growth and more progress, then it's easier. It's an easier journey when you see progress and things
Mm,
happening. I would definitely again put a shout out for Verita Neuro. I appreciate that what this has done for us is again allow her to start working rather than
mm,
us working her muscles, and it's exponentially better for her to be doing it. She's making more progress. Just on a caregiver, family member side of a spinal cord injury, it does take a lot out of the family, and it's a whole family affair. But I think as we rally together, all of us are cheering Makayla on, and we're all trying to find the best for her happiness and her future, and with that goal in mind, it makes things more positive and easier, and we're definitely trying to see a brighter future now. So
mm. Right. Thank you for those encouraging words. I think many people, many viewers, I think Michaela, you also have your Instagram. Many of your followers are inspired, and yeah, I also will be following you, and of course, I will keep we keep each other in be inspired to move forward. Kelly from the viewer is giving is she mentioned keep working hard. They're very supportive of you. Another person is Jason. Best of luck, Makayla. You have a great attitude. Yes, I can see that. You keep it, okay? You're smiling. There's, I think, positive view in life, of course, will definitely help. Allison, Kathleen also is thanking you for sharing all your experiences. All of your PT and your OT are watching in the live, saying hi to you as well. They saw for the
Hi.
Work.
yes, and you mentioned that you're quite nervous, but I think you did very well. I don't think we have. Do we still have stuff? Oh, there is one message from Mino Buck. How can we sign up for this? Uh for that, we would of course need to evaluate the case. So the very first step for you to do is, of course, to reach out to us. You can send to our message. There will be also link in the comments. You can just share your message, so we can start helping you. We can reach out to you and help you. I think no more questions. Again, if we missed anything, just let us know. We'd be happy, of course, to answer all of those. I think, Makayla, this video will be recorded and will be posted still. A lot of people will still be watching. So thank you so much for all this insight. I think it will be helpful for everybody who's been actively looking for possible ways for their recovery as well. To everyone, thank you for joining us today, for being part of this enriching session. We hope that it's been informative, inspiring for everybody. A heartfelt thank you again for Makayla and Teranne for sharing your experience. Dr. Nasir, of course, for your valuable expertise and insights.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Makayla. Thank you, Teranne.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Have a
We
good
just
night.
really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you very much.
Makayla. Good night, Teranne.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.